consumers actually don't decide on price, they decide on value. If they get a great value from a product, they will definitely buy it. And so when I was young, say around 15 years, someone asked me, who's your hero? So I said, let me think, give me a couple of weeks. And this person then asks again, who is your hero? So I thought about it. I said, the person that is my hero is, it's me 10 years from now. So basically, so when I turned 25, the same person comes back to me, then asks me, are you a hero now? So then I said that not even close. I said my hero is 10 years from now. So every day, every week, every month, every year, my hero is always 10 years away from me.
Hello everyone. Welcome in the 13th episode of the Med Talk powered by Game of Pharma. Medical Education Determination Talk. Today we have with us a very special guest, Sushant Dayal sir. Sir is the category head at nutrition at MBA and also worked with companies like Motorola, PepsiCo and Tata. Welcome on the show, sir.
Yeah, it's a pleasure, Lokesh. Thanks for the invite. Look forward to the interaction.
Sir, how will you summarize your success story, sir, in some?
Okay. Good to know that you feel that I have a success so far. But to be very honest, I would say I was not a good student to start off. So, in fact, right, if I go back to my schooling days, in fact, I do still remember that sometimes when I was in sixth standard, I kind of failed in roughly three subjects. Luckily, I was somehow able to move to the next class without repeating the year. So I was always into sports, never had any goals in life. I somehow got serious only around 10th standard. Actually, when I saw my sister doing well and she had joined MBBS, so I got inspired by her. But then I knew that I didn't want to do MBBS. That was completely sure after looking at her. The only other option for all average students in India at that time was taking up engineering. So I started preparing for engineering, and again, I think studies for me was a big struggle even before I got into engineering. So in 11th standard, I would say there was one subject I always kind of didn't understand and didn't do well was chemistry. So in that, out in the 11th standard itself, I failed in three exams out of four that happened, right? So, but yeah, I was very focused at that time. I took up PI education, took extra classes, so I was preparing for IIT. All of that I did, and then luckily I was able to get into Delhi College of Engineering. I was able to crack that in 2002. I joined there, and then after getting into engineering again, after within 2 years, I realized that engineering was not my cup of tea. So I started preparing for MBA, looking at my friends, and also my father was from Ahmedabad, so I always saw that kind of a perspective coming from him. So then I started preparing for MBA in my third year and final year, and luckily I was able to get to IIM Lucknow. So again, I mean, during MBA, I think it was a very good uh, journey. I enjoyed, I learned, but I would say there was a lot of focus that I had built during those MBA days, and I used to kind of prepare for 14, 15 hours, really used to slog, read 3, 4 newspapers every day, novels, mock tests, all of that I did. So I think this entire journey, I would say, hasn't been a straight growth. Right now, I am handling a category which is roughly around 1,200 crores in India, which is Nutrilite, and it's a big responsibility with a lot of tasks in terms of ensuring the growth and multiple. I have a team who report into me, so it's like a big responsibility now. So I would say success is a journey for you, right? So for me, it's been all these challenges have made me stronger, and I've kind of learned and kept on growing as an individual. So I would say that is how I would summarize my story so far.
So as you said, that, the responsibility about handling such a big company, so it's like we know that Nutrilite is worth 1,100 crores something right now. So what that responsibility feels like, and not about just the money, or it's also about the lot of people that keeps on reporting you. So will you please elaborate that part of responsibility?
Obviously Nutralite is so when I joined Nutralite, I think the biggest responsibility was obviously growing the category and growing the brand within the organization. And the challenges were that in the last 7 to 8 years, Nutralite and overall Amway itself was growing by 1 or 2%, right? It was almost like we were at the same number in the last 6 to 7 years, right? So basically from 2014-15 to 2019, we were at so Nutralite was doing around 980 crores and Amway was doing roughly around 1700 crores, right? So the challenge was how do you step jump in terms of growth? And it's not only growth, I think it's a function of as a category manager, you have to manage everything, right? From revenue to profitability to market share of your brand, right? So that's one part. The other part is managing the entire team as well, right? How do you keep them motivated? How do you ensure that they also grow along with you as an individual? So for me, I would say these were the challenges. So when we saw, so I did a lot of analysis, a lot of understanding of the market. So there is a process that I took through where I understood the entire dynamics of the market, what is the growth potential, who are the consumers, who's the competition, right? Understood our competency, that what is our competency as an organization. So all of that we did as an analysis, and then that led to lot of new ideas. And what really helped us, so when I joined, so I told you I joined at 980 crores. So in 2020 we did around 1100 crores, and this year we are almost tracking around 1200 crores. So the things that have worked for us is obviously some of the macros, like post COVID, what has happened is a lot of consumers are moving towards supplements as a category, right? So there are some external factors that have helped, but then in parallel what we also did was a lot of campaigns. Like we did a immunity campaign, which was a 24/12 immunity campaign. We did a protein campaign, which was specifically focused on immunity. We have launched roughly around 4 products in the last 1 year already. So we launched a Chyawanprash by Nutralite. We launched a vitamin C. We launched a vitamin D. We recently launched an N by Nutralite range, which is focused on the youth. So I think it's a function of really doing a lot of analysis and then coming up with a plan and ensuring that your entire team is driven to drive that plan. So I think there are pressures to ensure that we keep on growing, but I think the basics of really getting to understand what all you want to focus on, what are the key gaps in the markets, I think that's what you analyze and then eventually build a plan.
मार्केटिंग पीपल वी ऑलवेज नो दैट कस्टमर जब बाई करने का डिसीजन लेता है कुछ भी तो एक ब्रांड क्या वैल्यू प्ले करती है उनके माइंड. So will you please tell us something about the brand management and the marketing of a brand in terms of Amway and Nutralite?
First and foremost, I think what is important to define what a brand is, right? So I mean, and it's a very tricky question. So what is a brand? So I would like to think of brands as trust marks that have few specific associations for many consumers. So a good brand, any good brand, if you see, has a few specific associations for many consumers. And the sharper the associations and the more people who know the associations, the stronger the brand. So to give you a simple example, just close your eyes and think of what comes to mind when we call a brand called Lifebuoy. What all comes to mind? Just 1 or 2 points.
So cleanliness, disinfectancy.
Correct. So it's a very strong brand because what comes to mind, it's soap, it's red, germ kill, it's rectangular, doctor, strong smelling. All these are strong associations associated with Lifebuoy. Similarly, if you talk about Pepsi, what comes to mind?
Refreshment,
youth, irreverence. So these are the things that come to mind. These are very strong associations when you talk about these brands. Hence, these brands are very strong. So consumers use brands as a shorthand to navigate an increasingly complex world. When there are so many options to see in the market, right? And other things being equal, so consumers actually pay a significant premium for the simplicity that you provide for navigation of a good brand. So If you see it on a shelf, right? If there's if you go to a modern trade store and if you find a branded product versus a product which is a generic brand, right? Consumers buy a strong brand like a Ponds, for example, if there are other brands also there, because it's the simplicity that it provides. I know there is a trust mark, there is a strong association. I like that brand. I have a understanding. So that's what brand is, right? And there are the basic ways to grow a brand is, in a very simple term, is there are three ways how you can grow the brand. One is you increase the number of users for the brand, which is basically having more penetration. So penetration would be getting more new buyers into the category, or if you're talking about retail, you're going to more number of outlets, right? That's the penetration that you have. The other way to grow is you increase the frequency of usage. That a consumer, whenever he goes multiple times to the store, right? Or if you're selling it to a retail outlet, you are selling it multiple times the same product, right? So that is the frequency of usage. The third way to grow is consumption per use. If you are, for example, consuming a 500 bottle right now, how can you upgrade the consumer to a 600 ml to a 1 liter? And similarly, if you are selling a Pepsi bottle in the market into a retailer, how can you sell higher quantity, right? So these are broadly three ways how you can grow a brand, right? So I mean, brand management is all about this. And as I told you, in terms of analysis that I did in Nutrilite, so I always use this, and something that I've coined after reading so many books is a framework called ADAM. So ADAM is basically A stands for appraisal, D stands for definition, then again A stands for articulation, and then M stands for measurement. So what appraisal means? Appraisal is when you're overall seeing the potential of a new brand, right? So if a new brand or a real potential of the existing brand also. So appraisal will include understanding the market. You do a market analysis. So there's a triple CM framework within appraisal that I talk about, which is competency, consumer, and competition. So you see these three things. Then you look at your market, right? And then you look at the environment. So this is the triple CM framework where you do an appraisal, you understand the potential. So you understood what the potential of the market is, right? Next, you come to definition. Your definition is basically all the points that we talk about, STPs, right? Segmenting, targeting, positioning. You understand what are the 4 P's of marketing. So you're defining what you stand for, right? So that is your definition. Then your articulation is, once you've defined what your brand is, how are you communicating, right? So what is the brand name, the colors, what is the packaging that you're doing? Similarly, how are you developing your brand communication? What are the posts, videos, leaflets, or whatever you do, outdoor, whatever you want to do. So all these media vehicles also come under articulation, and then eventually, which is the M, is the measurement, where you are actually understanding how whatever I'm deploying, whether that is getting impacted in terms of sales or revenue from a business KPIs, and also from a brand KPIs, whether awareness is increasing, your repeats are coming in, your trials are happening. So all those KPIs is what you measure.
So just to summarize the thing, मैंने एक quote मेरे mind में click कर लिया, but I read it somewhere. It was that the only place a brand lies is in the minds of a customer. So relating to this, can we say that a brand is basically a trust towards a trademark, maybe a company, maybe a product category or something that is relatable to the customer? Customer feels more close to that trademark. Can you say that is basically the trust towards it?
Absolutely, you are completely right.
What do you think? Nutrilite is a brand or Amway is a brand? Or both are these brands?
Both are brands. In fact, Salman is a brand, Sushant is a brand, Lokesh is a brand. We all are brands, right? And whatever associations that you think about a particular person, the stronger the brand, right? If I am as a brand, right? I am over here because you have seen probably my profile and you have understood that there are certain things that I keep on sharing. So there is a certain brand that I have created for myself, right? Over a period of time. Similarly, Nutrilite has been in India for the last 20 years. And over the years, we have consistently talked about supplements. We have kind of provided those benefits consistently to the consumer over a period of time. Consumers have built that trust in the particular brand because this is a brand which is best of nature, best of science. It is priced at a price. Consumers find value in the product, and they find a consistency in the quality of the product. So they have associated Nutralite as a brand, as a good quality brand. Similarly, Amway is a brand which is perceived like a brand which provides entrepreneurship. It's a brand where a lot of people have become empowered, a lot of entrepreneurs have got created. There's a lot of women empowerment that happens, right? There are a lot of women in our business who get a lot of employment because of being associated with Amway. And anything that you think about whenever you talk to consumers about Amway, what comes to mind is that the products are high quality, it's very good, but it's expensive, right? And what we also want to maintain is that consumers actually don't decide on price, they decide on value. If they get a great value from a product, they will definitely buy it, right? No one would have bought an iPhone if they had thought of buying it because of price. It's because of the value that is provided by the iPhone brand, iPhone product. That's why they buy it. And similar is the case with Amway products as well.
Like you have over the 12 plus experience in companies like the Tata, PepsiCo and the Motorola. तो सर उसके अंदर कैसे एक्सपीरियंस रहे, जैसे आप कुछ मोमेंट शेयर करने पाए जो लर्निंग के भी हो एट द वेल हसल फेज के भी हो सर?
During my MBA is the time when the world of brands actually started. I got a lot of interest, and it's kind of captivated me. And so the first job that I joined from campus was Motorola. I joined them as a management trainee, and as a management trainee, you have a lot of good experiences because it's the first time you are like treated very well. You are given laptop. With Motorola, we had Blackberries. You were traveling by flights, got Amex card, and all of those things. Those perks were there, right? So we kind of really enjoyed that initial phase, and I got a couple of stints also. So I did a stint at Jaipur for 3 months. Then I went to Hyderabad for a sales stint over there. Then I came for a corporate strategy role. So it was hunky dory. I was doing very well. I was enjoying, right? And then the reality struck. So in 2008, there was recession that had come in. So Motorola, after 7 months of my joining, they laid off all the employees. So right at the beginning of my career, like you guys have heard of COVID impacting a lot of employees. So right for me at the beginning of the career during recession, I got laid off. So I was searching for a job for 2 months consistently. So it was very difficult at that time to get a job, and especially if you had no work experience prior to this. So it was a tough time for me, and obviously there were no. No one was dependent on me. I think that was the good part, right? I was young and I could do experiments. So at that time, I got laid off. So 2 months I didn't get a job. But then what I did during that time, I took up a project where I was getting a stipend at least. And so it was in a national productivity council. So I took up a project for 2 months just to keep myself engaged, so that I am busy and doing something. And then I kept giving interviews, and luckily one of the places where I got a call was from Tata Teleservices. But I think at that time, since I didn't have any option, so this was based out of Jalgaon. And Jalgaon is a place, you guys know, it's in Maharashtra. It's a district, and the temperatures over there go up till 50 degrees in the summers. So I was doing sales in Jalgaon for a year, and it was an interesting experience. So I think, and here I would also introduce a framework for you guys in terms of whenever you're deciding your career, right? So you should always look at the 3 L's of life. I keep on repeating this because this is something which has really worked for me, which is the 3 L's are level, location, and learning. So level, as you guys know, is a function of how fast you go in the organization. So level, location. Location is obviously where are you working, and learning is, you guys know, right? So it's a compromise on, if you're getting all 3 in a particular role, then that's the best case scenario. But at different stages of your career, you will have to take a call that what is important for me. So for example, in the Jalgaon, since I was beggars are not choosers, right? So I didn't have any job. So I had to compromise on level. I had to compromise on location. Only thing I was getting was learning, right? Location, I had to go to Jalgaon. level also. So I had gone at a higher package. In Motorola, I had taken a 30% cut when I'd gone to Tata Teleservices, right? So, yeah, so I think that was a decision I took at that time, and it paid for me, right? So I did a 1.5 year stint over there. 1 year I was in Jalgaon, then 6 months since I did well, I moved to Nasik. I was taking care of uh, the Photon Plus launch, which was a data device which was launched at that time. So that was quite interesting. Then from there, since I had done well, so I kept on applying at that time because I wasn't very satisfied with the job that I was doing. So then I luckily got into PepsiCo, but this was again in Kanpur. So here again, out of the 3 Ls, I had to compromise on location. But then here my level and my learning got sorted, right? So I was in Kanpur, 2 years of sales, and this I think was a transforming part of my career, because I think the good part that happened in this particular role was from the time that I joined to the time I moved out of that role, we almost doubled our sales. So I was the highest in the second year. I was the highest going. So it was a TDM. So TDM is a territory development manager, which is more like a sales manager. So I was the highest going TDM in the country. I had 7 direct reportees who were with me. So I won the Ring of Honor also, which was given by Indra Nui. So it was and won a lot of contests. So went to multiple countries because of the winning those contests. So it was a very defining role for me, and I actually learned the basics of sales, to be honest, in this particular role, because I was handling a different distribution. So I was handling a big business, and I had 7 direct reportees that I told you, right? So all of that actually, so it was a great stint for me. And by that time, actually, I had done 4 years of sales. So this was till end of 2012. And so by that time, since I had done sales, I was doing well. So when you're doing well, you have that luxury of asking for roles. That right now I have done my sales. Now I want to move to the brands, right? I want to move to the consumer side of the business, and I also wanted to get back to civilization. So I was in Kanpur, so I wanted to get back to Delhi, Gurgaon as well. So that's when then I got this opportunity with Gatorade as a brand manager. So I joined in 2013. So there I learned the basics of. So that's where my marketing journey actually started. To be very honest, and I think and it was a complete transformation, right? Your mindset in sales is very different versus your mindset in brand when you're handling a brand. So so it was a very uncomfortable position for me when I just started off handling brand Gatorade, and I was like, what is happening here, right? So we do so much push in sales, and here no one is interested in pushing for sales. There is so much of back end work which is there in ensuring what is the. So there is entire market research that goes into how do you do your new product development. There's a consumer research, there's a packaging research. So all of that, I think that mindset completely changed, making it more holistic rather than just sales, right? So that's what I think happened to me, and it was a very challenging role. It was not a focused brand for PepsiCo because they have a lot more bigger brands. Gatorade was a small brand, but it was an aspirational brand. So good thing that happened with me was that Pepsi was the lead sponsor of IPL at that time. So IPL and Gatorade being a sports drink brand, it was the most relevant brand for IPL as a platform. So I got that opportunity of ensuring a lot of IPL activations at that time. So I was taking care of pouring in the stadium. So all of that I did. I did a lot of activations with IPL players. Did so I also launched Gatorade powder during that time. So it was a very very interesting stint for me. So I did that. Then again, I was doing okayish in that because I was quite new. At that time, what PepsiCo did was they were restructuring as an organization. So that also happens a lot in the organizations now. So there was a foods business and there was a separate beverages business which was there. So they merged both the businesses, and they wanted someone in the customer marketing role to manage their modern trade and on-premise. So I took up that role. Well, again, that was an interesting role for me. So there I launched Burger King in India. I also did a lot of pitching for Subway. So we earlier Coke was the partner for Subway. We made Pepsi as a partner for Subway. So very interesting stint for me. From there, then I moved to a Lipton Ice Tea role, which was a joint venture for 2.5 years. Then I moved to another role, which was e-commerce and modern trade. So in 8.5 years of PepsiCo, I did 5 roles in different uh, phases of marketing and sales, right? And then eventually, in 2019 of me, I joined Amway as a category head for nutrition. So it's been a very interesting journey so far. Lots and ups and downs, and I've enjoyed each part of my career so far.
You have talked about like 3 L's, level, location and variety. तो सर जैसे 2019 के बाद में हम सबको पता है कि लाइक कोविड की सिचुएशन आ रही, तो इसके अंदर जो लर्निंग वाली सिचुएशन थी उसको लाइक कंटिन्यू रखना इज सो हार्ड, तो सर वो कैसे जारी रखा आपने?
Yeah, I think learning is one of the key. I mean, I would say if you talk about, as a brand, I would say learning is one of the things that I would say as an individual. I am a continuous learner, and that's something that I've always believed. And it's not only about COVID. I think it's been since since I've been a student, probably since I got serious about studies. I think that's when I started enjoying learning, and I think that's what has also happened. And what has worked for me is that in the last probably 2.5 years, I really started taking a lot of interest in books, right? And I've been reading books. So in a year, I read around 35 to 40 books every year, and basically, which means that one book in a week or one in 1.5 weeks is something that I read. And what that has done is it keeps on evolving me as an individual, right? I keep on learning new things. I keep on implementing some of those learnings. So I think even during COVID, what has happened is probably I got a lot of time off from traveling. So I used to travel 2.5 hours, right? I stay in Dwarka and my office is in Gurgaon. So almost 1 hour 15 minutes one side you are spending traveling. So from that perspective, I saved 2.5 hours. So with those 2.5 hours, I could reinvest. One I did was I invested in my health. So I do daily 6 kilometers. So in the last 1.5 years, I've lost 8.5 kgs, right? So I am probably the fittest at now now since my school, since my engineering days, from that perspective, because I invested in health. So I also invested in reading a lot of books. So I'm investing in right now. I keep on posting on LinkedIn, right? So all those. So it's about also building your brand and also keep on learning and sharing. So what I also feel is what I've felt in the last 2.5 years since I've been sharing on LinkedIn is you learn much more when you start sharing. And if you have to share something good, one belief is if you have to share something, you have to read 10 times of what you are sharing. So what that pushes you is it pushes you to keep on learning so that at least you are able to share, which is value adding for anyone. So I think that's something that has worked for me, and that's what I would say you should keep on working towards. I think that's my recommendation as well, because that's something that I have learned and always have that growth mindset. And this again is a concept from a book called Mindset, which talks about how you can be different, how you can develop a growth mindset, which is all about knowing that whatever you do, you can grow, you can learn, and you can implement, right? So once you start doing and executing, you start getting that confidence and start feeling that yes, whatever I think of doing, I can do it and execute it and do well.
In our marketing field, day by day, many jobs roles are going online. First it was work from home, then it became work from anywhere. So do you think that location of the job really matters? Like, or is it going to be like in the future? क्या इसमें होगा, sir?
So I think the relevance of online is going to go up significantly. There are obviously pros and cons which are there when you're working from home or working from anywhere. But what has happened in lockdown is people have learned that the work can be done even from home. And over a period of time, obviously, when COVID will reduce significantly, which is already starting to happen right now. But what will happen, it will become a more and more of a hybrid model where you'll take best of both the scenarios, best of work from home and best of working from office. So probably you won't be going 5 days or 6 days a week in the office. You would be probably working 2 days or 3 days in the office, where you get the benefits of working in office, because there are some problems that you face while working from home as well, because a lot of things that can be closed by meeting in 5 minutes, you might have to spend online for 30 minutes just to ensure that people are together and a lot of stakeholders come in, right? So I think it is going to be, and there are a lot of benefits of a lot of those personal interactions that happen when you are in office, when you are offline. I mean, what has happened in online is all the work has become transactional, right? You are not getting those informal moments with your team where you are kind of getting insights. All of those things have become a little difficult by working from home, right? So though there are a lot of benefits of working from home because you're saving on travel, you're saving on cost, on infrastructure, all of those things have happened. But I think it's going to be a hybrid model which will work out, and we'll kind of pick up the best of both the scenarios, and then we will kind of live with it.
So as we were going through your profile, we've seen that you were awarded as the best marketing campaign for some Ayurveda launch, I guess, in 2019. So will you please tell us about that?
Yeah, so Ayurveda launch was a very, very interesting launch, and in fact, it was a perfect fit for Nutrilite because, as I told you, Nutrilite is all about, so we are supplements, and what we, as a phenomenon, what we say is that we are best of nature married with best of science, right? What Ayurveda gave us was, it was best of nature, best of science with the best of traditional wisdom. So India has that entire philosophy of Ayurveda, which is like people really look up to it, and it's a differentiated phenomena. So as an objective, when we were planning to launch the Nutrilite traditional herbs range, was we wanted to obviously grow the brand Nutrilite. We wanted to increase the penetration. We had a plant which was built in 2014, so we wanted to ensure that the overall capacity gets utilized of the plant that was there. The other objectives were obviously getting, so as I told you, Nutrilite is a premium brand, right? So we wanted to have an affordable premium brand, affordable entry premium price point for the category. So these were the key objectives which we had identified. And during that time, what we did was we identified what are the need gaps from a consumer standpoint. So what we understood was there were a lot of gaps in the consumer's requirement in terms of products like tulsi, ashwagandha, your triphala, brahmi. So tulsi, as you all know, is already meant for immunity. Ashwagandha was meant for vitality. Your triphala is for digestive health. Brahmi is for brain health. So all these were very relevant benefits which were identified after a lot of market research, and we launched with a lot of, so there was a complete new product development process that happened, which is a stage gate process. So we picked up that, we launched this particular product, these four products in 2019. And what happened was from the time, so within a span of 18 months of launch, we were able to clock around 100 crores for this brand. So it became almost a 10% mix for Nutrilite as a category. So it was an amazing launch for the category. And what also happened was not only it gained mix, what it also did was it got in new buyers into the category. So new customers. So for a brand to grow, it is important not only to grow your existing consumers, as I told you, that is that you can grow by increasing consumption per use, you can grow by frequency. What this gave us was additional penetration, right? It got us new consumers into the category. So that was a big win for us, that we got new buyers into the category with, and there was very strong repeats for this. And for this, we had a lot of, to launch, we had a lot of launch events. We had expert speakers which were there, who were like doctors, who were Ayurvedic doctors who gave training, so we created a lot of videos, social posts, and we got very, very good response. So we launched these four products. Then we followed up with another two products in the category, which was a glucose health and a respiratory health. Glucose health is basically for consumers. India has a diabetic market, right? Almost 60% of the people are after above the age of 35 have diabetes, right? So it's a huge market. So we launched a product which can help you in diabetes. And then we also launched respiratory health, which was for your lung health. So considering that immunity and lung was the major affected part when you are undergoing COVID, So we launched respiratory health as well as a product. And this year we've also launched Chyawanprash now. So it's been a outstanding launch for Nutralite as a category, and that's why we won the best campaign award because of the impact that it had on the business.
And जैसा आपने शुरू में कहा कि लोकेश इज आल्सो ए ब्रांड, सलमान इज आल्सो ए ब्रांड, तो सर इसके बारे में आप थोड़ा बता सकते हैं अबाउट द पर्सनल ब्रांडिंग एंड ऑल, कि लाइक हाउ वी डेवलप us as a personal brand?
Personal branding, I would say, is all about. So, I mean, in the words of Jeff Bezos, I would say your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. And the term branding used to be reserved for businesses, as you know, right? When I talked about you are a brand, but I think what has happened with the advent of social sites, gig economy, so personal branding has become absolutely fundamental. And personal brand, what it has to be a unique combination of your skills, experiences that make you who you are, right? And it is how you present yourself to the world. And effective personal branding, what will happen is it will differentiate you from competition, and it allow you to build trust with your prospective clients. Even if you want to build trust with a girl you want to go out on a date, right, or with your employers. So it's all about, so personal branding is all about that, how you effectively brand yourself. And whether you like it or not, you have a personal brand, and if you Google yourself, right, the first impression is what the people will have, whatever they see. So if you type, say, Lokesh Sharma, if nothing pops out, right, so how will they perceive you as a brand? So is it a good one? And is your information consistent across LinkedIn, Facebook, all the social media sites that you're talking about? So whether you go for a date or you go for a job interview, chances are someone is going to Google you to learn about you more. So the question is, do you want to allow your online reputation to take a life of its own, or you control the narrative? So, and this is what it is. And I would say, and there was a research also that happened. And as per the research, as per the survey, what came out was that 70% of the employers use social media to screen candidates during the hiring process. So clearly, अगर आप कोई interview में भी जा रहे हो, the first thing that an employer might be checking out is your social media profile. That how is he presenting himself? Is he consistent with what he's talking about, right? And similarly, even the employers. So what came out in that research is 43% of the employers use social media to check their current employees. कि अगर आप कुछ पोस्ट कर रहे हो तो आपके बॉसेस भी हो सकता है आपको चेकआउट कर रहे हैं ऑन सोशल मीडिया कि कर क्या रहा है एग्जैक्टली ऑन सोशल मीडिया, राइट? सो पर्सनल ब्रांडिंग actually it is beneficial not only as an individual, it is also beneficial for the employer, for the organization that you're working, because companies, what they happen is it allows you to represent yourself, right? If you're going for events or conferences, right, it helps in giving the organization that perspective, that exposure. And it also, once you build your brand, so you become more trustworthy as a thought leader, right? So you're viewed like that. So developing a great personal brand, and it doesn't happen overnight. It's imperative to be able to communicate your purpose, kya mission hai, and in a genuine way and in consistent way. And it is a long-term game. It's not a short-term game. And how you are aligning your message, how you are posting probably on a specific time, whether your storytelling is important, is it a storytelling which is interesting? So all of those things are critical. So, and I would say 5 things why personal brand is important. If I summarize, one is you gain name and recognition. You become more memorable and relatable. That's number 1. Number 2 is your ideal people start to find you, right? So if, for example, on LinkedIn, you start connecting with people whom you want to showcase yourself, right? You can start building your connections. What will happen is whatever you post, the feed, their feed, they will start seeing your post, right? So you are able to find ideal people, and you are able to showcase what you stand for to those ideal people. And what also happens, third, is you automatically start building relationships. Fourth is you become more visible, you build more trust and confidence. And fifth is, I think, which is most important, is you control how people view you rather than people having their own perception, right? And this is something that I faced in PepsiCo, right? When I was in PepsiCo, I wasn't very outgoing, or I wasn't developing my brand at all. So I used to struggle a lot in getting a different role, right? I got rejected multiple times when I gave a brand interview, right? Because I was not controlling the narrative. It was people. I always felt that कि मैंने काम कर दिया. That is what is in my control. Let people think whatever, right? What is important is कि I should do my work. मैंने अपना काम 100% कर लिया. I leave it to God कि जैसा perception बनाना है बना लो. But then over a period of time, I realized कि there were a lot of people who were not good as me. They getting promoted, they getting the offer. मैंने कहा यार, what? There is something wrong, that I am doing all the right things, but I am not getting the kind of offers that I should get. Then I realized that it's a function of both. You do your work, but also what is also important, what is the other person perceiving? Your perception is very important, right? Whatever you build, and that's what your brand is. So you have to continuously work on your brand. And whatever you share, you have to be. It has to be useful. There have to be more and more perspectives, less of opinions, and as I told you, you have to probably read 10x of what you share. So I think that's what your personal brand is all about from a long-term perspective. So it's a long-term, lifelong project that keeps on evolving over time. And finally, I would say your brand serves as a precious asset that you can grow, which can actually grow your opportunities at a dramatic pace.
What is the purpose of sub-branding, sir? So, like, for a kind of case study, recently I bought a phone whose branding is Poco, P-O-C-O, Poco. But after buying that, I got to know that it is actually a subcategory under the MI. So why the company used to do like this? Why they create sub-branding under their main brand?
Absolutely. So I think what happens is, and you will see a lot of examples. So Unilever, for example, or P&G, for example, you won't see any brand like a Lux or a Ponds calling out very clearly it's from Unilever. And Unilever is a strong brand. But what happens is, if you say that Unilever is the main brand and there's a sub-brand under it, it dilutes that brand, because each brand has its own functionality, its own persona, its own value, its own, right? So from a consumer standpoint, if it is provided by Unilever, then it gives them the trust. But then each brand has its unique identity, its unique perspective. So it is important that you build that brand, and if it is supported, what also happens is, what you have to do is be consistent, right? If you are completely divergent from what exactly you stand for, and MI, for example, you've told is they have a Poco, which is a sub brand, right? So there would be some they would have wanted to create a different persona for the brand Poco itself, because MI has certain brand persona which is created right now. It probably is something which is affordable, certain quality. Probably Poco, I don't know whether they are looking at super premium or a very basic phone, which
No,
they
so
don't want to dilute with MI.
You are definitely correct with it. Actually, they are trying to promote it as a gaming phone. The Pocos are coming in the gaming variant.
Absolutely. So it's a function of that, I think, because MI is perceived, has a certain perception. You don't want a gaming freak to actually think of it is from MI. They would want it is a specialized product which is specifically focused on gaming. It has those speciality, those features which can help you to play the games in a more effective manner. You get the right resolution, whatever is required from a gaming perspective.
Yeah, like I want to know about, sir, how do you see your competition, sir, in the market?
I look up for three things each day, right? And the three things are something to look up to. The second thing is something to look forward to, and third is something to chase. And something to look up to is basically look up to whom I looked up to. I thank my God, right? Because that is someone that I really look up to. They've graced my life with so many opportunities, and there's a scientific fact that actually gratitude reciprocate. So I keep on doing this. Gratitude is something that I do every morning. That what are the things that I'm thankful for, right? So I've got and I feel that if I've got God, you've got a friend, and that friend is you. So that's about something that I look up to. Something to look forward to is obviously I look forward to my family, and the fact is that I look up to my father, my mother, who taught me so much how to respect myself, how to respect others. Right, I have my wife who's a doctor. Right, so I have my daughter now who's like almost 3 years. So these are some of the people that I really look forward to, and these are someone who I really want to make proud, most proud about me. So that's something that I look forward to. The third thing is someone to chase. Someone to chase, I would say, is someone who's my hero, right? And someone to chase, I would say, when I was young, say around 15 years, someone asked me, "Who's your hero?" So I said, "Let me think. Give me a couple of weeks." And this person then asks again, "Who is your hero?" So I thought about it. I said, "The person that is my hero is it's me 10 years from now." So basically, so when I turn 25, the same person comes back to me, then asks me, "Are you a hero now?" So then I said that not even close. I said my hero is 10 years from now. So every day, every week, every month, every year, my hero is always 10 years away from me. And the fact is that I'm not going to beat my hero, but what I will do is it uh, that it's just fine with me, right? It it is something that I keep on chasing for, and I keep on improving myself. I keep on chasing myself, which is 10 years from now. So I think this is something I would say is my competition, and I hope this is something that you take as an inspiration, because if you are able to look up to yourself in your own eyes, I think that is something that will differentiate you as an individual, and you should not compete with anyone. And I think we make this mistake, lot of times, when we start comparing ourselves with our friends, with our peers. I think you are a unique individual, you are a unique personality, right? So it's important that as an individual you are able to differentiate yourself, and you keep yourself as your competition. And in fact, this is another concept called mudita, where you are actually feeling happy for your people who do well. So if your friend is doing well, if your friend has really got promoted or got selected in a good organization, if you yourself are feeling well about it, if you're not feeling jealous about it, you are creating more happiness in your life. So it's a function of you being happy for others as well, so your overall happiness will grow. So I think that's something that you should keep on working for yourself. So that should be your competition. How do you keep yourself chasing and becoming better every day?
So thank you so much, sir, for your valuable time, sir. A great session, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. I hope I was able to add value, and it was good to interact with both of you. Very, very insightful questions, I would say. And
Thank you,
it
sir.
was good fun interacting.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.